Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Yassine, and this right here is the Google Pixel 3a. So I've been using it for about a week now, and this is Google's budget smartphone. And I can honestly say that this is the best budget Android smartphone out right now. There's a couple of reasons that I think that, and then there's one particular reason that I definitely know is the reason that it goes over the top. So I'm gonna get to that reason in a second, but real quick, let's talk about the design. So this shares the same design as the Google Pixel 3, which was released at the end of 2018. It's got a two-tone color to the back of it. The only difference is that this one is made out of plastic, well, actually polycarbonate, and the Pixel was made out of glass. And Google did something particularly weird with this design, or actually pleasant. The two-tone back, it feels different when you touch the top glossy part compared to the bottom matte part, and for some reason I actually prefer that, and I actually like that. So if you're concerned about the way this plastic is going to feel, it feels different than other plastic phones. And then most people that buy budget phones are conscious of how much they're getting for how much they're paying. So most likely they're going to want to protect that purchase, and they're going to put on a case on it, or at least put a skin on it. So when it comes to the build quality, even though it's made out of cheaper materials and doesn't feel as good in the hands, I think most people put cases on their phones and skins, so you're not really going to be concerned about it. Now internally, this is rocking a Snapdragon 670. It's got 4 gigs of RAM, and it's got 3000 milliamp battery, and those are mid-tier specs. So I recently did a speed test between the Pixel 3a and the Pixel 3, and obviously the Pixel 3 won, but the Pixel 3a wasn't lacking that far behind. Like, it was just a millisecond or a second behind, and it's absolutely usable for everyday use. Now, if you're trying to edit videos or edit audio, or use it to edit pictures and run social media platform, you might have issues with it, or even play games like hardcore games, you're gonna have issues with it. But if you're using it for regular everyday stuff like calls, messages, web browsing, Instagram and Twitter, then you're not gonna have any issues with it, because I've been using it for the last week and I haven't really felt any lag or any slowdown. And that is the reason that I feel like this phone is the best budget Android smartphone. It's the operating system. So it's stock Android. I believe this is the first time, other than when the Nexus phones were first starting really cheap about 5 years ago, that we are getting a pure Android budget phone. So for people that run launchers and use other manufactured phones, you understand what I'm talking about. When a company has customization over pure Android, then the specs and the processor and the RAM have to work that much harder in order for it to make the phone run smoother. And that's something that Samsung used to have a lot of issues with back in the days of the Galaxy S4, S5, and I believe even the S6. So the fact that this phone can run pure Android, then it's possible that it's optimized for 4 gigs of RAM and optimized for the Snapdragon 670, because the phone is being designed by Google and the operating system is being designed by Google, similarly to what Apple does with their hardware and their software. So I'm honestly not concerned about slowdown of this phone, and I haven't really noticed much slowdown, like I said, if I'm using everyday apps over the last week. And another perk of having pure Android on this phone is the fact that you're going to get support for over 2 to 3 years, and you're also going to be first in line when the new operating system comes out, like later this year when Android Q comes out. You're definitely going to get it if you purchase a Pixel 3a, and I can't say the same thing about the Galaxy S10 that's been out for a couple of months now. So I feel like the software that the Pixel 3a is running is really what puts it over the top, and why I could recommend to people that this is the best Android phone out right now. And then there's a bunch of other reasons. One of them is the great battery life. So the first couple of days this phone's been out, I haven't had it in my hand, and I've been just on social media, on Twitter, looking around as I pre-order mine, and people were talking about getting 5, 6, 7 hours of screen on time and their phone just not dying. Now that hasn't been the case for me, but I have constantly gone over 4 hours of screen on time, 4 hours, 15 minutes, 4.5 hours, and that's me using it regularly. And then if I decided that I needed my battery to last a little bit longer and not use my phone as much, I could probably get up to 5 hours. So that's what I've been averaging for battery life. And then let's talk about the camera, which is probably the best camera out right now because it's the same camera that came from the Pixel camera. So when you take pictures on this phone, then you're gonna get almost exactly the same pictures that you would get on the Pixel 3. And the reason I say almost is because 99% of the time you're not going to be able to tell the difference and they're going to look exactly the same. But if you pixel peep and you zoom in and you look for differences, then yeah, you'll be able to see some differences. And that's because the Pixel 3 is missing Google's AR core. So sometimes when you are doing portraits, then it won't be as perfect as detecting the edges. But that's, like I said, 10% of the time, 90% of the time, the pictures are going to look exactly the same. And another thing is that the headphone jack is back. So I don't particularly use the headphone, but there's a lot of people that like the headphone jack. But I do use it occasionally whenever I'm vlogging with a cell phone. I like to put one of those microphones in there so that the audio is better, because most smartphones' audio is not that great. But with the Pixel 3a having such a great camera, you pair that with an external mic like the Rode Video Mic Go, something like that. I'll link that one down below in the description. Then you got a great vlog setup. So there's a couple of little things here and there, but like I said, what puts this phone over the top, I really believe, is that it's running pure Android. And I think it's gonna make it worth buying this, because if you're in the market for a budget phone and you want something that is going to be supported for the next 2 to 3 years, then this is the way to go. And then if you are into mobile photography, then definitely this is the way to go. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the Pixel 3a. That's my review of the Pixel 3a. I hope you guys liked the video and I hope you found it informative. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If it's your first time to my channel, definitely consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay plugged.